Hey everybody, Bob here. I hope you're having a good day so far. I'm having a pretty good day, although I just realized I need to shave. But that's what happens when you're working from home a lot, right? Forget about those things. Anyways, um, so I want to talk about something today that something I feel like a lot of people kind of have really varying perspectives on, and some people really use it and apply it, and other people really don't. So what I want to talk about is the idea of vision, having a business vision, and then some personal piece to that. But really want to talk about really a practical approach to that because, um, again, I think there's varying degrees of perspective, but I also think that I've seen very few people use their vision really well if they have one, if they've ever looked at it since they first wrote it. So let's talk about that a little because I do think there's some really good practical uses to your vision if you use it correctly, and I think have a good perspective on it, in my opinion. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in here. And so, like I said, I think there's kind of two perspectives on this in terms of kind of where people are coming from. So let me get this. Oops, it's already open. um, the first, so let me just do this here. So we got kind of this spectrum here, right? And then on this end right here, and then this end right here, and on the far end on the left, we'll call that the kind of these are the just do it people. All right, they're like, let's get some action, let's get moving. This vision stuff, like, what are you talking about? Like, let's just get to work, right, and get things done. Some of you, I'm sure, can relate to that. And then the other side, we'll call this the dreamers. All right. And some of you are like, yeah, it's all about the big dream, right? Um, so what I would suggest is that I do think that there's kind of a happy medium in here. Because I think so on the just do it side, I think you definitely can lose out on perspective in terms of where you're headed. You can lose sight of a specific direction and really start to become reactionary in your business, which I'm using that a word a lot lately, I feel like. Instead of really kind of sticking to a specific plan. And that can definitely be detrimental to a business. So I think it's really important to have that big picture. And I think that's where it can be harmful on the kind of just do it side. Now, on the dreamer side, the issue can be obviously that you kind of get stuck in the clouds, right? You're just constantly thinking about how great it can be and how big it can be and how amazing it can be. And you take days of planning and thinking about how it's all going to look. And then you realize you're not really ever putting it into practice, right? You're not taking action. So those are kind of the two extremes. Maybe, and most people I would say lean in one direction or the other. And some people I would say are on the extreme side, and some people aren't. I would say I've run into both. I would say that when I work with businesses, I would say I probably more lean into the just do it side. But it's a mix. So I don't know where you're at in that. But I want to talk about the balance in here a little bit because I do think that is important. So so in terms of how a vision can be effective, I think there's three kind of ways that a vision can be helpful. So let's look at this kind of, I guess, look at it from a triangle perspective here. So if I have triangle, right? So first thing I think is it can be really good at motivation. Can help us create some motivation. And that's kind of the one that a lot of people think of when they think of the vision. And so that's kind of why the just do it people are kind of like, yeah, whatever, I can just do it. I don't need that motivation, right? So that's one side of it. The other side of it is it can act as a guide. Okay, and I do think that that's a super important point. We'll get into that in a minute. And the third thing that I think is important, how it can be used, is in many ways is for accountability. Sorry, my writing's not beautiful. Accountability. All right. So we kind of got these. So again, so the motivation side, what we're saying is a vision can help motivate us and inspires us, right? We look ahead and we're thinking 2, 3, 5 years, whatever it is that you do. And you're thinking, wow, like that can motivate us, right? To just really be like, wow, that's where I'm headed. And that's exciting. And it is true, that we tend to be willing to take action on things that we're more excited about. We're emotional beings. Even if we don't come across that way or not, we are. And so we're driven by emotions. That excitement of kind of what could be definitely can motivate us, can inspire us, can cause us to take action. So I think that's very true. In terms of it acting as a guide, that's where like I think there's so much value in that, because as a business owner, hopefully you're taking a lot of time to think about strategy, to think about the development and growth of your business. If you're not doing that, you're probably struggling, which a lot of people are, because you got to be able to pull yourself out and think about strategy, think about where are we headed, what are my goals, and the vision will help you do that, right? So if you take the time to really build a vision, it's going to help create a guide for you in terms of, hey, what should we be doing this month? What should we be doing next month? And right, we're thinking about kind of the steps that lead towards the ultimate goal that we have in terms of that bigger vision. And I'm interchanging a lot of words, I'm not going to get into that a ton right now. But so I think that guide's really important. And then accountability pieces is good. It's kind of a check, right? It's like, okay, I said I was going to go here. Oh wait, but I just realized I'm kind of like going over here, and then I went over here, and then I went over here, right? A lot of people make shifts too quickly before really committing to something, and often when that happens, is you never really become really successful. There's a lot of people who will pivot like that and still do okay, but to really kind of grow and build, you have to be really committed to a process and to a vision over a period of time to kind of see it through. All right. So now with each of these three, I think there's a couple of critical things that are important in terms of really making them effective. First of all, I think with your vision to be, for the motivation side, first of all, I think it really is important for it to be big and specific. So if you have a small vision, you're like, oh yeah, I could do that tomorrow. It's really not that exciting. It's not going to motivate you. It's kind of like, what's the point, right? And then specific is really important because, well, you got to kind of call yourself on stuff, right? You can't picture it, you can't envision it unless it's specific. So add numbers, right? Add how many employees you have, add how much money you're bringing in, your revenue, your profit, add in, how many, if you have different offices around the country or outside of the country, add in those details. And then I also would encourage you to add in your own personal part of that. What does it look like for you? How are you spending your time? What kind of life is it supporting for you? Now, so like when I've done this with clients before, a lot of times I'll encourage them to build a business vision, which is very straightforward. Business has all these things, but then I ask them to kind of attach to that a personal vision within that. So like, this is what I'm doing in the business, how much time I'm spending in the business. These are the type of things that I'm doing that my business is supporting a lifestyle that I want. But I wouldn't necessarily share that piece with team members and things. But I think it's important for you. So that's kind of goes within that big and specific. And that's sorry, I just said the second one. So big and specific. And then it needs to include, like I said, kind of your life, things like that. So I just put those two together, but that's very important to motivate you towards where you're going. Because ultimately, hopefully you're trying to build a business that's going to support the life that you ultimately desire, right? So anyways, so moving on to a guide. So in terms of the guide, I think two things here. The first one, I think it's really important to help you set your goals. So hopefully you are setting some goals, and people are a little better at goals than they are at vision. But I think the vision is what helps you set that goals. And I'm going to create another video maybe soon after this about kind of that process of kind of vision to goals to tasks and things like that, but another time. But I think your vision can help you as you look at the vision, like, okay, I'm here. Okay, what's that first big step I got to take, right? Like here, because you may not be able to see all the steps to get to the vision, and that's okay. You don't need to. You shouldn't be able to. If you can, then you're probably thinking too small. So what's that goal that's going to kind of get you closer to that, right? So the vision helps to guide those goals, those 3 to 6 month goals that you might have in your business. And then the thing that I think is really important as well is it's really just helping shape the decisions that you make, right? So shape decisions. That's a good way to put that. Right. So as your business begins to grow, it starts to develop, you're going to run into situations where you kind of go this way, or you could go that way, or maybe many other ways. And I think it's really good that when that happens, is you kind of take a look at your vision. You're like, okay, well, which one is going to move me closer to my vision? Okay. I think that's really, really helpful as a guide. because sometimes we might just be like, oh, that sounds really neat. And we kind of move. And this is where we start kind of pivoting, like we go off away from our vision. We're like, oh, that looks kind of interesting. Right. And then we're like, oh, wait. Okay, and then we get another decision and we're like, oh, we even move further away from our vision. Um, and so I think using the vision as a guide to help you in those decisions that you're making, whether it be a new product or a new office or new service or whatever it might be, it's is that really moving towards what you ultimately wanted to move towards? Okay. Um, no, also I just want to set aside, I was going to say that I wasn't sure. I'll probably say this at the end again, but I am not saying that once you build your vision, you can't change it. I would just caution you from just changing it too freely, right? And just kind of boom, 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 boom all over the place. Really think hard about if you're gonna change your vision, like don't take it lightly, I guess is what I'm saying. Like really think about, is this really a smart turn? Am I really doing it for the right reasons? Or am I maybe giving up because it's getting kind of hard? Because the truth is, I don't care who you are. I don't care what business you're in. It's hard to grow a business. So don't ever make a decision based upon that, because when you make that pivot and turn and change your vision, it'll be hard again. So anyways, so shaping those in. So the accountability piece is also, I think, an important part. It kind of ties in with the guide a little bit. But I do think so in terms of this, for this to work, I would kind of schedule in some kind of progress check-ins, if you will. Progress check-in. So set aside time to check in, like 3 months, every 3 months, every 6 months, whatever, to like kind of take a look at your vision and say, okay, how am I doing? And kind of grade yourself. Look at maybe, the different areas within your vision in terms of the number of team members, in terms of revenue, in terms of, and just see like, where's that growth happening? And am I moving closer to that? And really genuinely hold yourself accountable to that action. The other thing that can really help that is the other piece here is involve your team. Because when you involve your team, that seriously adds to that accountability piece, because now you can't just be like, yeah, I didn't get there, but no big deal. Like now you have a team looking at it, like saying, hey, we're going towards here. We didn't move at all. We didn't move the dial. And that's good accountability. It's good for us. So involve your team in that process in terms of understanding the vision. And then maybe every 3 months, every 6 months, whatever it is, you're sitting down as a team saying, how are we doing? Are we moving the needle in the right direction? Okay. And that can be really, really, really helpful in that way. All right. So hopefully that makes sense. I encourage you to think about these things and ask yourself, first, do you even have a vision? If you don't, maybe it's time to sit down and make a vision and kind of think about where is it that you want to be in the next 3 to 5 years. And then, or if you do have a vision and all you're doing is taking time to think about your vision, then maybe you got to, create some goals and kind of start taking some steps to do that. But hopefully this is helpful. Maybe this will kind of help in terms of different ones, and some of these you may use it more than others. But strongly encourage, if you don't have vision, I would encourage you to make one. And again, you can adjust, it can move if it makes sense to, but just don't do that easily. And use it, right, as motivation for yourself, use it as a guide, and use it to hold yourself accountable. All right. So hopefully that's a little bit helpful. I know vision, there's a lot more we could talk about in terms of vision. And again, I know people have varying degrees of perspective and kind of on how that can be helpful, but hopefully that makes sense in terms of some of the practical application of your vision and how you can really use it. And it can be powerful for you in terms of developing and growing your business. All right. So I'd love for you guys to actually comment below and let me know, maybe, do you have a vision and are you using your vision? That would be great. I'd really appreciate it. All right. I'll see you guys around. Bye.